Good evening. This is Brad Emery, and I'm taking a minute here to share a little bit more and reflect on my last artifact. This is component 7.74 of Standard 7, looking at mission, vision, and improvement in the school. And for this component, I chose activity A. I've observed teaching in a variety of classrooms, and I'm going to focus specifically on my experience in a 7th and 8th grade world history and world geography classroom for the purposes of this reflection. So I took the time to contact a colleague over at the high school level who also teaches middle school, and he is in charge of geography and history for the 7th and 8th grade as well as the juniors in high school. And so I had the opportunity to observe a little bit of an 8th grade class, but primarily a 7th grade geography class. And that's my focus here. So he did a great job. I chose to observe him because I knew he was is a very quality teacher. And it was really fascinating for me as a 3rd grade teacher to see how different the things are when you get up into the secondary side of things. And of course, he explained to me that many of the things he's doing this year are different due to remote learning. We have some students in our school who are learning from home but are still working in and through their normal classrooms, while we have the majority of the students are physically in person in our rooms. But that has made some interesting challenges in a hybrid environment this year. And Mr. Bauer, the teacher I observed, also pointed out that has made quite a few changes for his practice and instructional methods as well. So he operated using Google Classroom as a springboard and a checklist for students. And then at the 7th grade level, they came in and had some morning work during an assignment to look at daily news tuned to their level. And then Mr. Bauer had them come back together for a discussion and a short video which they discussed, covering the main topic that he was looking at for the day. Once they had had a class discussion, they had a screencast in which they could listen to a chapter read, which I thought was a great use of digital resources so that all students could hear the content if they didn't want to or weren't able to read that chapter on their own. Of course, the students who wanted to read on their own had that opportunity as well, and then they had some work and discussing questions and prep work to answer for that assignment as well. And looking at this as a fellow teacher, I'm always impressed and enjoy being in other teachers' rooms and just seeing how they operate and function. But I tried to go in there with my administrator's hat as well and just be thinking, what would I be looking for as an administrator? What would I be looking for in an observation from more of a professional capacity? And so watching him teach, I saw that he was engaging with the students. He was asking questions that continued to pull deeper thoughts from them and challenge them to think at a little different level or a deeper level. I know in the short period that I observed, I didn't see a whole lot of higher thinking skills, but I also noticed at the front of the room that he had some different, what looked like art projects. And in visiting with him, I discovered that those are artifacts that he does with the 7th grade students as part of a unit on Kansas history. And they take the time to work in English and write up a paper about a significant Kansan. They work in art to create the artifact, and then they research with Mr. Bauer in his history class to find what they need for both the paper and the artifact that they create. And then it struck me, and I realized, oh, this is the artifact day that we have every year. And so seeing those artifacts, I realized this is what the 7th graders bring. And every year, Mr. Bauer has a time in which he invites our 3rd and 4th grade classes, as well as some of the younger students, to an event where 7th graders present an artifact that they've created about a famous Kansan and something that relates to Kansas history. And so seeing that in person was a little bit different than being a spectator, and I really enjoyed seeing him teach and be in action, even if I didn't get to observe those lessons where he was working with students on that particular project. As an administrator, I really would appreciate having teachers like Mr. Bauer who work cross-curricularly with other teachers and other disciplines so that the kids have an experience and understand history isn't tied just into the four walls of a history classroom. That's can be and should be spread and interlaced with other meaningful subjects and topics. And I thought that was a fantastic way of doing things. And that was one of many ways that I just see teachers in our district and our building working together and collaborating well. And that's something I think our administration should be very proud of. Looking at the future, I would love to spend more time in observation and look at it alongside a principal or an administrator who could walk me through what does the process look like when you're doing more formal observations rather than kind of your daily walk-ins, which is more of what I was conducting in this instance. But I would love to learn more about those formal observations and what that process looks like and what they look for specifically and how much focus they put on a particular area of teaching or instruction for any given observation, because there's just so much. I don't feel like you could look at all of it, but perhaps I'm wrong on that point. So as far as looking into the future, that's something I hope to take the time to do with our principal or principals at the high school level as well, should we have time. Didn't have time to do that right now with such a crazy year in COVID, but I look forward to those opportunities in the future. And I really found this observational period to be a good benefit and just once again a great opportunity to see another teacher at work, and I always appreciate that. So thank you for taking time to listen to this reflection and evaluation, and I hope that it serves you well.